Hi, hello, I'm Latia, and this is Neisa. Say hi, Neisa.
Hi. Hi.
No, okay, so I say hi, Neisa, and you say hi, Neisa.
Oh, what?
Say hi, Neisa.
Hi, Neisa.
Okay, she knows her name, I'm proud of it. So today we're going to be talking about the Milwaukee Cannibal. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he's also known as Jeffrey Dahmer, which happens to be his real name. We may have to do a conspiracy on that.
Might do.
How did he get his name? Okay, so Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer and sex offender who killed 17 men and dismembered them between 1978 and 1991. His last murders involved necrophilia and cannibalism, so, you know, he would get hungry and have a dick sandwich. It's most girls these days. He had a sexual attraction to corpses, which I found out is what necrophilia means. I thought it was like some dinosaur, to be honest. So when I saw that his things involved necrophilia, I was like, bro,
I like dinosaurs.
what do dinosaurs
too.
have to do with this? Okay. He would also permanently preserve the body parts, particularly the skeleton or the skull. I found actually some cases he kept the penises too. So in the total of his life, he was convicted for murder, child molestation, indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, and public intoxication. And in result to all this, he got life imprisonment, 16 terms, which I did the math is like 400 years. So he was imprisoned in Columbia Correctional Institution, and although he was diagnosed with a few mental disabilities, borderline personality disorder, schizotypic disorder, and psychotic disorder, he was deemed as legally sane.
Which I think is insane.
He was originally sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment, but later received an extra term, which in total makes 16. But he received this extra term because of his first murder, which I'm pretty sure he did in 1980. No, I think that was one of his last ones. 1978. I had a feeling it was 1978, but I was like, what? Which made him 18. I just did quick maths.
Yeah.
So his early life, it's said that he was deprived of attention as an infant. His mother refused to breastfeed him because she thought it was tiring. Which, I mean, I wasn't breastfed, but I didn't end up a serial killer. Each to their own.
I was breastfed, and I mean, I'm sure the serial killer part's still on the table.
Okay, so neither of his parents spent much time with him. So he was very neglected, which I also think is very interesting because the reasons he did these murders was because he didn't want to be alone.
Yeah.
So maybe he like killed them because he'd kill them every time they asked to leave. So I just find that interesting. Food for thought.
But he didn't want them to do anything while they were with him.
Yeah, it's weird, hey? At just before the age of 4, he had a surgery on his brain, but before this surgery was explained to be a very happy and energetic child, and afterwards was very distant and just grumpy, you know, teenager at 4. It's said that his fascination with bones, yes, started because his dad found bones under his house, and he happened to see that. And he was very excited about the sound they make when you click them together. I was writing this down, and I was like, I wonder what that sounds like. Like, I don't think I've ever heard bones click together.
Yeah. What if you could make that an instrument?
With the necrophiliacs. Because, you know, they're dinosaurs. Okay.
Is that a dinosaur? My lollipop.
Originally, he collected large insects such as butterflies, and collecting caterpillars. Yeah. Yeah, and he left him in jars. Which, I mean, I wouldn't be, like, triggered if my kid did that. I'd be like, you're normal!
Yeah.
Because I always did it, and then I'd be like, oh,
Be
you
like,
died.
you want more jars?
Yeah, see, my mum always did that.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I have actually seen his parents get criticism for letting him collect insects and put them in jars. Like, how stupid. Every kid does it at one point. Well, back in the day. I don't know if kids actually do that anymore.
I don't think that happens these days.
Maybe they get them on their phones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that would happen.
He had a wooden... No, that's further on down the story. Don't listen to me. He went on to collect roadkill after this, and he would... What would he do with the flesh? Did he start acidizing it then? I don't think it said.
I don't think he did start
So we don't know what he did with the flesh, but we know he liked the bones. And his excuse for collecting dead animals was he was fascinated as to how animals fit together. Which I was kind of like, damn, this kid, you know, this is before he was even 14. He was thinking about some stuff.
Yeah.
This fascination began at 4. Imagine at 4 being like, I wonder how animals fit together. At 4, I was like, I want to watch Dora. So he would look for animal bones under his house and stuff, and when he couldn't find them, I think that's why he went out to the road.
Yeah.
His dad became a chemist, so he was studying all the time. I don't know if I mentioned that, but he was constantly learning about chemicals and stuff. And when he'd be home, he'd given his mother like a whole heap of attention. So Jeffrey really didn't get much like loving, you know, it was mum or studies majority of the time, and both parents had confessed to, you know, neglect.
Yeah.
So one night over a meal of chicken, and he asked his dad what would happen if he put bones in a light bleach solution, and his dad was really worried that what were the words? Lethargic attitude. He had a lethargic attitude. So his dad,
yes,
you know,
placid and lethargic attitude, and his solitary life.
So his dad was thrilled by this because he thought it was a science fantasy. Dad, if you're watching this.
Yeah, it wasn't a science fantasy, Dad.
I don't know if you called it, but we did. You're welcome. So his drinking began around the same time he asked this. He asked this around 14, and he started having a drinking problem. Also, at that age, he started going through puberty. So he was starting to realise that he liked men, which is great. Good on him. Happy for him. My uncle's gay and he's my best friend. Okay,
I'm so proud of you, Jeffrey.
We are.
Well, I mean...
We're proud of you realising. Around this age, he was also having rape fantasies.
You know, normal puberty thing.
Just puberty tings, don't worry about it. Okay, so we're gonna feel like that's all the information that we found on that, but in 1978 he committed his first murder.
Was it in the fantasies, when he first started having the rape fantasies, that he realised that he wanted to have someone completely submissive?
Yeah, it was actually. He wanted complete control.
Complete dominance over...
You know
whoever
what?
it was.
This is some 50 Shades of Grey shit, I ain't gonna lie, like... Except he had a red room. It was his wooden shed in the back, which we will talk about later.
Yeah.
So his first murder was Stephen Hicks in 1978. He was a hitchhiker. I think he was leaving a rock concert, and Jeffrey lured him to his house with alcohol, and they continued to party. Yeah. Okay, we're at the hitchhiker. Also really interesting about that is Jeffrey always had a fantasy of bringing home a hitchhiker and drugging them, raping them.
Okay, so basically what I was talking about while I was helping my mum, we were talking about capsicum sizes, was that Jeffrey always had a fantasy about bringing home a hitchhiker, drugging and raping them and setting them free. He always said this death was an accidental one and that he did feel bad. But anyway, here's Neisa being Neisa.
Talking about Stephen Hicks.
Yes.
So he was 18 at the time of his murder, and he got murdered because he wanted to leave. So they were drinking for 7 hours after he picked him up on the side of the road. And Hicks got up and said, look, it's time for me to call it a night, you know? I gotta hit the hay. And Jeffrey didn't reply. He just hit him over the head with a dumbbell twice.
At this time, Jeffrey was living alone in his family's home. His parents had split and his mum had moved and his dad had moved into an apartment.
Yeah, I think to get away from his mum.
Yeah.
So he was living alone at this moment in time, which is, his dad was homophobic. So I think that's why he brought this guy home, because his dad wasn't there and he was like, Kuda, sucky sucky, you know. So he hit him, back of the head twice, and then when he was unconscious, strangled him to death. Which, I mean, I was thinking about this before. I was like, most serial killers would have just strangled him while they were alive.
Yeah.
He didn't want him to be awake for that.
I wonder if that comes into the submissive thing.
That would make a lot of sense. I feel like right now would be a good time to say that serious situations, and me, I don't know about you, they just don't.
It's not a good mix.
It's not. Like, I have to laugh to get through things, otherwise I cry, and I'm actually like, I feel like I could start crying any minute. Because I feel bad about making jokes about
We're
Stephen
very
Hicks.
sorry to Stephen Hicks' family.
We are, we're very,
Feel for them very
to all
badly. All of the victims' families.
So after this, he continued to dismember the body and put him in bags.
Yeah.
And then buried him in the family garden. And then 7 weeks later, dug up the remains, dissolved the flesh in acid, and put a sheet around the bones and crushed him. And then
Flushed the flesh
Yeah,
and
this-
acid down
yeah.
the toilet.
I've got that bit there, and I
Yeah.
just and he just scattered the bits, the scattered bone was just thrown around the backyard. You know, blood and bone mix.
Yeah.
After this, his dad came back to the house and found him living there alone. And his dad had a lady friend, as they would say. And they didn't like that he was home alone, so they kind of pushed him into joining the US Army in January 1979.
That's after he had gone to university for like only 3
he went
months,
to uni.
which his dad paid for
Yes.
2 terms, but he only made it through 3 months of the first one.
And it was business.
Yeah.
I think he did good in riflery.
Yeah, he did do good in riflery.
He did good in
got
riflery.
a B in riflery.
Good on him. Getting B's and
Gunmanship.
Okay, so
And
then
made him join the army.
in January 1979, he was a medical specialist and a combat medic. I don't know if they're different. I don't leave my house. So, you know, I have TAFE, if that counts. And I'll go outside for smoko. But, other than that, I'm in here researching serial killers, so I could, you know, miss out things. I've got so many cases in my head. My head is a case itself.
I'm a bit of a head case as well.
Okay, so he was in the army, and he got kicked off for his drinking problem, hey? But there was also soldiers who claimed that Jeffrey had drugged them and raped them. One saying he did it for, wasn't it 17 months?
17 months while he was in the army serving.
Yeah. But I think Jeffrey also like served like an actual soldier, and they said he was like above average.
Yeah, they did, yeah, average to above average.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, he got kicked off the army due to his alcohol abuse, but I think also the accusations would have had to play a part in it.
I think in there.
He
Was given an honourable
Yes.
discharge because
in March 24th, 1981.
the things that
They didn't
He
think
was
he would
kicked
go
off
on,
yeah
it wouldn't continue in the real
didn't
world.
think it would affect him in the real world, yeah. So he was given an honourable discharge.
He was then sent to South Carolina for debriefing and then received a plane ticket to anywhere in the world, and because he was tired of the cold, he chose Miami Beach, Florida. Which,
He also didn't want to go back to his dad.
Yeah, he didn't think he could face his dad. And that's really deep, hey?
Kind of is.
Yeah. So, he found employment, actually, when he was in Miami. And an apartment. He was, he was doing
Settle
well.
down.
But he still had a problem with alcohol, and all of his earnings that he was earning at the sandwich shop that he worked at at a sandwich shop, was spent on alcohol, and therefore he couldn't pay his rent and was kicked out. I think for a few weeks he crashed on the beach.
Yeah. On the beach at night before still going back to work in the morning.
Yeah,
At the sandwich shop.
at the sandwich shop. A bit like Subway. Oh, Subway.
Ugh.
So he returned to his father in September that same year. I honestly think he would have just returned because of he was homeless.
He literally had no other options.
He was living with his dad and stepmom, and within 2 weeks of returning, he got arrested for drunk disorderly conduct and got a $60 fine and a 10-day sentence.
They're spending 10 days in lockup.
I mean, I was thinking about it, I think about all this stuff a lot. And you should have seen the concentration on my face when I was studying this, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she could have been dying in front of me and I would have just been like,
It was insane.
I'm
You
up
could
to
have
the
just,
fifth victim,
Froth coming out of her mouth, and she would have just been like, this is interesting.
It's really sad because I know a lot of you are probably like, I hope she's joking. But I probably wouldn't have realised.
10 out of 10, not a joke. Okay.
So after this, he wanted a new start. So I think, I think at some points he really did want to get away from this lifestyle, from the alcohol.
I think the thoughts in his head may have scared him a bit.
Yeah, because what's interesting is he dismembered so many people, 17 of them. 17 people.
That's not including animals.
The animals, man, there would be countless amounts of animals.
There would have been a lot.
And he could only ever do it while drunk. So I think his father and stepmom sent him to his nan in Wisconsin. And they thought this would work.
Wisconsin.
I don't. What?
It's a 70s show.
It's
Ashton
I'm more
Kutcher's
of a
voice.
How I Met Your Mother and
Well,
Friends
I
girl.
love them. But
I watched How I Met Your Mother, so stop it.
yes.
So they sent him to his grandmother.
Nan in Wisconsin.
Because he showed great affection, so they hoped the influence would get him away from the smoking, the alcohol.
Help him just get on a better track with life.
Sort his sugar honey iced tea out, basically. He was actually so good that he went to church every Sunday. He willingly did chores. He pretty much did everything, but still smoked and drank.
Yeah.
He found a job at a blood plasma.
Yep.
He was unemployed for 10 years. 10 months. He was there for 10 months. I just love how much I was concentrating and I still got that wrong. I spelled employed wrong too.
I know.
Look at how I spelled employed. It's crazy. Okay. Before losing his job, he was arrested for indecent exposure.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what he did, it didn't say, but all we know is he did something bad. In January 1985, he was hired as a mixer at a chocolate factory.
That's the ideal job. I want to work at a chocolate factory.
Can you imagine bathing in chocolate?
The way to go would be drowning in chocolate.
At least it'd be a sweet death.
Sweet.
I wonder if Jeffrey ever had any fantasies about drowning his victims in chocolate so that they had a snack on the way out. I feel like he wouldn't have.
I don't think so.
I feel like he would have said that in the interviews and been like, because he was a smart ass, He was known as the class clown in high school.
Yeah.
He used to make fun of a kid with cerebral palsy, and that's how he became popular.
Yeah, he used to
So-
do pranks.
I feel like he'd be really proud of that fantasy.
And epileptic shocks.
Yeah.
Seizures, sorry. He used to prank that he's having a seizure.
For anyone who thinks that is funny, it's not.
not.
Hey, maybe that's wrong with my exes. They go to Specsavers.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he was working at a chocolate factory, and I think this was the first time it was noted that a guy offered him sex.
Yes.
And he turned it down. He ain't a prostitute.
No, none of that.
He doesn't, like when he sells himself, you know.
But this offer did bring back all his thoughts and all his fantasies of dominance and having submissive partners.
Which is bad. I think he got away from it for a bit.
I think his nan's influence may have helped him and going to church.
Doing this, never offer someone sex for money. Gosh, you could send him into a Jeffrey Dahmer. God. So he trained himself to look at people as objects, and after this started drugging his partners and lacing them with sedatives.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's the same thing.
Lacing their drinks.
Yeah, so that they would so he'd go to gay bars and he'd find these guys and he'd
lure them back to his house
for either money, alcohol.
Yeah.
It was mostly money.
Mostly money for posing nude for photos.
And there was also listening to someone's heartbeat. He started giving his partners sleeping pills and he would rape the unconscious bodies. He did that to 12 men.
Unconscious people don't want tea.
They don't want tea? You know what? Once I was trying to come up with clickbait. I'll talk about this after. So, anyway, an 18-year-old boy was advertised as dead. And this triggered Jeffrey. He didn't kill him. He was nice enough to let this one die on its own. But he had fantasies of stealing the dead body. And he actually got as far as, he went to the grave, but he went to dig and realised the dirt was too hard, so he gave up.
He was going to steal this dead body and rape it in his home and then keep
because he was
the remnants of
necrophiliac.
it, which is not a dinosaur.
It's not. August 12th, 1986, he was arrested for masturbating in front of 12-year-old boys. He did claim he was urinating. Two 12-year-old boys. He did claim he was urinating, however.
Before that, he had admitted to being masturbating in front of them, and then when the charges came through, I think he changed his story.
Yeah, he did change his story.
To actually have just, been pissing.
Yeah. Meantime, I'll tell you that story about me doing clickbait. So, right, tea time. So, yeah, right, I was camping with some friends and I had a wooden skewer and I went like this the whole time. I was going to pierce my lip with a wooden skewer. I feel like I should put the clip in now of me talking about how it was going to be clickbait and what the picture was going to be. I was going to have the two girls behind me I got to put that in there now. They got to see that I'm funny even when I'm not talking about serial killers.
I'll tell ya, how's tonight going?
I should give myself a lip piercing!
No, don't! Probably don't. Clickbait!
For a vlog!
We'll put it on our YouTube channel.
I'll be like, this is the picture.
And there we go.
And you guys will be like, what? And I'll be like,
yes.
and they'll be like, I pierced my lip with a wooden
skewer. Well, imagine the sprinklers. Imagine
Dawson would watch it and be like, I need to make conspiracy theories on these people. Maybe the aliens got to them. I'll be like, yeah, they visited us, remember? We're Destiny.
He initially admitted to the offence and he was again charged with indecent exposure, but he quickly changed his story after that, saying he had just been merely urinating and he didn't know that there was anyone there watching. So he was only charged with disorderly conduct and was sentenced to a year's probation and having to undergo counselling. Which makes sense.
The second victim's name, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Stephen Tuomi.
Yeah.
On November 12th, he found him.
He was 25, Stephen was.
Yes. Jeffrey said that he originally had no intention of killing him. He just wanted to drug and rape him. However, the next morning he did wake up on top of Stephen, and Stephen was black and blue.
Under the bed.
Yeah.
Black and blue with his chest crushed in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had scratches on him too, I saw somewhere.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey has no memory of this happening. He did kill him, he did die. But he had no memory. And when Jeffrey found the body, he had blood coming from his mouth, like he was,
and Jeffrey had blood and bruises
Yeah.
on his arms and elbows and stuff.
It is believed that while Jeffrey can't remember anything, he tried to scratch out his heart.
Apparently, Tuomi's bare chest triggered. He thinks that Jeffrey recalled that he thinks that could have triggered him to try and rip out his heart.
Yeah, which is really sad. Like, I feel like we're gonna have to say, I feel for every one of these victims. Hey,
Yeah.
like, I am too emotional right now. Like,
That would have
I
been
can't imagine it.
horrible.
I can't imagine the fear.
Especially for the families to not know or get to see
I know, they
the
just
body
went
ever
missing.
again. And then they were acidified.
Yeah,
knocked
so
to
there was
pieces.
no way. Don't get any ideas. This is not, you don't kill people. We're not talking about this because we think about it. We don't. The reason I'm interested in serial killers is because what happened? Like, what clicked in their head for them to turn around and be like, gonna kill that person?
Yeah. Were those thoughts always there? Did they develop after something they saw?
So I actually spend a lot of my time studying serial killers and missing persons cases and reading books on psychopaths and serial killers. I am obsessed with the mind and not really like the science behind it, the mental stuff, you know. So I think that's why I'm starting this channel, to be honest, because all my family hate talking about this stuff, so I thought, why not share it with people that actually care? My family care. It came out bad. Love you, Mum. My granddad, actually, I call him Gaga. He likes them. I talk to him about it every morning. So, this was in a hotel this happened.
Yeah.
He then he just transferred the body. He put it in a suitcase, took him back to his grandmother's house, and 7 days later cut the head, arms and legs from the torso. He also cut the flesh into small pieces and put him in garbage bags. With the bones,
in sheets again and crushed them with a sledgehammer.
and then put it all in the trash, but he kept the head. He boiled the head in Soilex and bleach, and his reasoning for this is he wanted to keep it for masturbation, but they became too brittle, so he disposed of them. I'm pretty sure he disposed of them.
I'm pretty sure he bleached the skull, apparently to try and keep them, but it made it too brittle.
Yeah. He met most of his victims in gay bars, and he would take them back to his grandmother's house, make victims unconscious with sleeping pills, and then strangle them to death. He did this with most of his murders. I think he got adventurous in the last few. We'll have to get Wikipedia up for that, because I've heard, we're not going to talk about it now.
It's strange how
The element of
nobody ever realised, connected him to the murders.
I
Because
know.
it was always the same gay bar that he went to.
Yeah. But I guess with Ted Bundy as well, police knew that all these girls would go missing when he was in that area, but never.
Never.
They got people calling saying he's in that area, and there's 3 people going missing a day. I should do a video on Ted Bundy next.
That's a good idea.
Ted Bundy's so interesting. But I will put a link in the description so that you can,
Check out stuff about Ted Bundy.
in case you're really interested in that. He is a very interesting fellow.
But until then, we're going to keep going with Jenny.
Yeah, stay with us, okay?
Mm.
I'll pay you.
Not $50.
With the lollipops.
for nudes.
Give me lollipops.
Love heart lollipop.
Come see me for your lollipop today.
That, as long as you don't have a white band.
Yeah, don't come see me for lollipops today if you've got a white band. That's a bad idea. So yeah, this is what he would do to his victims. He would just strangle them. But he would rape the unconscious bodies first, I'm pretty sure. And afterwards he would masturbate over them. By this point he hadn't gotten adventurous in having sex with dead corpses. He just liked them.
Yeah.
2 months later, he found a prostitute named James Doxtator and offered him $50 for nudes. So they went back to his apartment, they drank, Jeffrey gave him the pills, and then he strangled him.
Yeah.
He left the body in the cellar for a week and dismembered the same as all the other ones, so the legs, head and arms were done separately.
Also did it all separate.
Yeah, he retained the skull and he put it next to the other one and then disposed of it. Yeah. The next one, this is his fourth victim, was 22-year-old Richard Garrow. And this happened on March 24th, 1988. He offered him $50 to spend the night with him.
And with the additional offer of sexual activity if he wanted them.
Yeah. He then performed oral sex on him.
Drugged and killed this man, and then I think he had oral sex with his corpse. I think this was when he first started getting a bit adventurous with necrophilia.
Which isn't a dinosaur.
Not a dinosaur.
He tried with another victim, but Gran was home and yelled out, "Hey Jeffrey, is that you?" And he tried to make it sound like he was alone as he had a drugged man with him. But his Gran knew. She just knew. So she went downstairs and found the other man, and they had to take him to hospital because she was really concerned. And then Nan kicked him out September 1988 because of the behaviour with men and the smell from the basement and garbage. Again, picture it could have been different if her Nan was like, "What is that smell?" and went down there. Like, she would have seen freaking body parts.
What if he'd locked it so she couldn't get down there?
Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. He found an apartment on North 25th Street and moved in on September 25th. He was arrested the next day for sexually fondling and drugging a 13-year-old boy and was convicted in 1989 for second-degree sexual assault, but the course was suspended until May 1989. The fifth victim was 24-year-old Anthony Sears. This was 2 months after conviction.
Once again met at the gay bar.
Yeah, he had oral sex with him, placed body in Gran's bathtub, decapitated the body.
This was after he had
Killed him.
drugged and strangled.
Stripped the flesh off of him, but this one's different. Saved the head and penis in acetone.
He said that Anthony was the only man that he was actually attracted to.
His-
Hence why he kept the head and the genitalia.
His exact words were he was exceptionally
Exceptionally.
attractive.
Yeah.
He kept these body parts in his work locker.
He had, put them in acetone to reserve them.
Yeah.
And he moved it to his apartment when he moved into his apartment. From his work locker.
Yeah, he, when he moved, he took it all back from the work locker.
Yeah.
And on May 23rd, 1989, he was registered as a sex offender. And then May 14th, 1990, he moved out, taking Anthony with him. He was never leaving. Which, again, is interesting because his reason was always they were going to leave. And he really did keep them with him.
Yeah, he did.
Sixth victim, prostitute Raymond Smith. He killed him and then the next day brought a Polaroid camera and took several pictures of the body.
Now this is interesting because he continued doing this afterwards with all the bodies he dismembered. He would take photos during the dismemberment of the dismembered parts of the dead bodies while they were naked, while they were dead, in like sexually inviting poses.
Yes, he always said it was for his masturbation.
Yes.
He found this male prostitute, took pictures of him, then boiled his legs, arms and pelvis in a kettle with Soilex, and then rinsed the bones in the sink. So all the flesh just came off, like he just put it under water and it was like... I don't know what I just did, I was like... He dissolved everything but the head in in a container of acid, this container of acid, I'm pretty sure becomes infamous. Like, I'm not going to put pictures in, but there are pictures, bro, of like police taking it down, a container of acid. I took my beanie off because it's like 50,000 degrees in my room. But I still got my jumper on because it's Katy Perry, bitch. Why not?
Okay, so we're up to Raymond Smith.
Raymond Smith.
Sixth victim.
Sixth victim.
Raymond Smith lured him back to the house.
We talked about all that.
His apartment?
He spray painted his
That's
skull.
right.
So we last talked about how he kept his skull. I can't remember where he kept it, how he kept it, but he kept it. He
In
spray
acetone,
painted
didn't
it.
No, he would bleach it. I think that acetone would keep things. You would think that acetone would break them down.
Especially like acetone and nail polish remover.
Yeah, that's it. Acetone is allergic to dogs. It's in apple seeds.
Really?
Yeah. Dogs aren't allowed to eat apple seeds.
Okay, you just said acetone is allergic to dogs.
Yeah, acetone is allergic to dogs, guys.
Stay in school, kids. Anyway, he spray painted the skull and put it next to Anthony Sneers.
Sneak.
May 27th, he lured a young man back to his house, accidentally drank the lace drink that was meant for him. So he passed out, and when he woke up, he found there was 7 stolen clothes, $300 missing, and a watch, and he didn't report it. Until later on, the 29th,
He did
he
tell
said
his
to his parole
probation officer.
probation.
Oh, yes, we're up to...
7! Edward Smith.
Oh, actually, with Edward, he didn't immediately acidify the
That's the one.
skeleton.
Yeah, he kept this one for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And he kept his skull in the freezer for 7 months, which I find interesting. 7th victim, 7 months.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Yeah, he put it in the freezer to hope it would get rid of the moisture and it wouldn't break down. That
Yeah.
didn't happen. It acidified in the freezer.
After 7 months, though.
He felt he said that he felt the worst about Smith's murder.
Yeah, because he couldn't retain anything.
He couldn't keep any of the pieces because they all just broke down.
Yeah, he actually said he felt disgusted. No, he felt rotten.
Rotten about it. Yeah, he it acidified in the freezer and then he tried to put it in the oven to dry it out.
Yeah,
it
dry it out and it
exploded.
exploded.
Exploded, yeah.
That
wasn't.
It's come back to me now.
Yeah.
Hey, Nan. A skull just exploded in.
How do you clean this? Okay, so it was less than 3 months after poor Edward, and that comes to our 8th victim.
Number 8. This guy was offered $50 to listen to his heart and stomach. So Jeffrey wanted to listen to his heart and stomach.
This guy was Ernest Miller, and
I'm pretty sure this is the one that
Yeah.
said that'll cost you. Yeah, that'll cost you extra.
Yep. Yep, so he attempted to perform oral sex where he was informed that'll cost you extra than the $50 for the listening to the heart and stomach. So he laced his drink but unfortunately he didn't have enough sleeping pills. He only had 2 for this particular victim, so he slashed his throat instead. It's the same knife to slash the carotid artery, which I'm guessing is the main artery in your throat.
Yeah.
And with the same knife he used to dissect the bodies, Miller bled to death in like minutes. Dahmer then posed the body in like suggestive poses in the bathtub, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Before he repeatedly was like kissing and talking to just the severed head. Which is kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of, yeah.
Yeah, he did. With Miller, he wrapped his heart his biceps and portions of his flesh from his legs in plastic bags and placed them in the fridge for him to eat later, for later consumption.
I think like if you look up his house tour after he got caught, he actually openly confessed that he had sauces to put with his meals.
Yeah.
And this was honestly probably the first thing I learned about him, because I was like, ooh, I want to see his house. I was psycho back then. New hair, who it is. That's all I wanted to get out. Yeah, that was the first thing I saw, was the sauces in the fridge.
Yeah. He got rid of the rest of the flesh and organs using Silex, which he got the flesh off the skeleton by using that, and placed the bones in light bleach solution for 24 hours. Dried them up on cloth for a week. Severed head was initially placed in the fridge before also being stripped of flesh, then painted and coated with enamel. Yeah. So September 24th.
3 weeks after he murdered Ernest, Dahmer encountered a 20-year-old man named David Thomas. 22-year-old man. This time it wasn't at a gay bar. It was at the Grand Avenue Mall, and persuaded him to return to his apartment for a few drinks, which additional money was offered if he would pose for photographs. In his statement with the police, Dahmer actually said that after giving Thomas a drink laced with sedatives, he did not feel attracted to him.
Didn't actually want to.
But he didn't want to waste the body.
Yeah, he didn't,
He did
he
photograph.
woke up and was angry that he drugged him.
Yeah. He did photograph the dismemberment process and retained the photographs, but he didn't like him.
Didn't keep any of his body parts.
Yeah. Following that murder, Dahmer didn't kill anyone for almost 5 months, which is pretty good considering he was killing people like
monthly.
Yeah, at this point it probably was
Weekly
monthly.
at sometimes, like.
He was just on a spree and he had a break for 5 months.
Yeah.
I reckon we should thank Ernest. You know, what's his name? Was that his name? No. I can't remember. So he didn't kill anyone for 5 months.
Because although, like, on a minimum of 5 occasions, he unsuccessfully attempted to lure people to his apartment, men to his apartment, and he was complaining of feelings of anxiety and depression to his probation officer, and it's been recalled that he often stated about harbouring thoughts of suicide. He's going through financial difficulties, and
His sexuality
was an issue, as long as just being lonely.
Okay, so in February 1991, Dahmer observed a 17-year-old named Curtis Strauder and found him at the bus stop near a university. I can't pronounce it. According to Dahmer, he lured Curtis with the first excuse for money to pose for nudes.
Yeah.
With the added initiative of sexual intercourse. Dahmer then drugged and strangled him with a leather strap.
Yeah.
Then dismembered him with Dahmer's retaining his skull.
Which is kind of different because usually he used his hands to strangle the victims, didn't he?
Yeah. So I wanted to use weapons.
Yeah.
So he kept his skull, hands, and genitals, and again photographed all of this process. On April 7, Dahmer encountered a 19-year-old named Errol Lindsay walking to get a key cut. Lindsay was straight, and Dahmer somehow it's not really said how.
No, but somehow he lured him to his apartment. He got this straight young boy who was just trying to get a key cut, you know, to
Trying to
come
live
to
his life.
to come to his apartment. Yeah.
Well, then, you guessed it, folks. He drugged him. And did you strangle him? No.
No, this one's different.
That's right.
He drilled a hole in his skull and he poured hydrochloric acid into it. According to Dahmer, Lindsay awoke from this, saying that he has a headache.
The whole reason he poured this acid into his head was to try and get a permanent submissive thing going on.
Yeah, he didn't want to kill him, he just wanted him to not really be
Alive.
alive.
Yeah. So he started complaining about having a headache. And in response, Dahmer drugged him again and then strangled him. He decapitated Lindsay and retained his skull. He then flayed Lindsay's body,
Yeah, laid it out.
placing the skin in a solution of water, cold water and salt for several weeks in the hope of permanently retaining it. And then he just disposed of it when it became too frayed and brittle.
Yeah. 1991, other residents of the apartments he was living at were complaining about the foul smells from apartment 213. In addition to the sounds of falling objects and the occasional sound of a chainsaw, when he was asked about these complaints, he would excuse the odour from his freezer breaking and the contents going off, or his tropical fish recently dying, and that he would always say he would take care of the matter. But yeah.
Why don't people get stuff like this and do something about it?
Look, there's this really bad smell coming from this apartment. There's always strange noises. Might just, be safe and call the cops. Maybe, but no. May the 26th of
Day before my birthday.
1991.
But I wasn't born then.
No. Dahmer encountered 14-year-old Connerak Synthesomine? Something like that. On Wisconsin Avenue. Once again, offered him money to pose for Polaroid pictures. Synthesome, the younger brother of the boy whom he had molested in 1988, the one he'd gotten charged for, was initially, I know that word, was initially reluctant, as could be expected, but somehow Dahmer was still able to convince him to come back to his apartment, where, guess what? He drugged him. But before that, Eith posed for 2 pictures in underwear.
Yes.
When unconscious, he performed oral sex. On the occasion, he drilled just a single hole into poor Connerak's skull, and he injected hydrochloric acid into it again.
He didn't actually kill him.
No.
He kept him alive.
He took him into the room where there was the dead body of Tony Hughes.
And laid him on bed.
Mm.
He was unconscious, though, hey.
Yes, he was unconscious when he took him into the bedroom. He believed that he saw the body. I don't think he was unconscious, he was just out of it. Because he saw the body, yet did not react to seeing the bloated corpse, likely because of the effects of the sleeping pills and the hydrochloric acid. He did leave the apartment though, leaving Synthesome unconscious there. He had a couple of drinks and then went out to get more. And yeah. in the early hours of the next day, May the 27th, he returned to his apartment to discover
that he was sitting on the road naked.
And he was distressed with 3 women standing near him. Of course, he tried to explain that he knew the young boy and he attempted to, take him back to his apartment. The women had already called 911 and the 2 officers arrived. Dahmer's demeanour relaxed. He informed the officers that synthesome phone. Yeah.
Was his 19-year-old boyfriend.
Yeah. Had a bit too much to drink. And then he
So the police just filed the incident as domestic and left it. Even though the 3 women, they did protest against it.
They were told to back out and shut the hell up.
The officers just covered the boy with a towel and walked him into Dahmer's apartment, where in an effort... Okay, this is interesting. Went into his apartment where dead bodies are.
You don't think you would have, thought something of that and
That
gone in to have a
smell.
look, maybe?
That smell.
Apparently it's meant to be the worst smell on earth, decomposing bodies.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's not the smell of a fish dying.
No.
But, you know what, he ends up getting caught, just not as soon as he should have,
right
really.
then.
There was so much, honestly, there's so much against him.
Yes, after the... Had they...
The officer peeked his head into the bedroom but didn't look.
Yeah.
The bedroom, where the dead body was.
Mhm.
On the floor.
Yeah. Had they have conducted, had they have checked him out, they would have, seen that he was a convicted child sex offender. But that's not important. We don't do background checks on people who've been involved in domestics.
No. She'll be right. They must just be like, oh, they'll sort
the
it
young
out.
boy's butt was actually bleeding.
And he had a hole in his head.
In this instant, it... Yeah. When
Dahmer
they got
in-
back,
Yeah, he injected
Yeah.
more hydrochloric acid into his brain, and on this second occasion, the injection proved fatal. The following day, Dahmer took a day's leave from work and dismembered the bodies of both bodies. So of the one we can't pronounce in Hughes, he retained both victims' skulls though.
Synthasophonia.
On June 30, Dahmer travelled to Chicago, where he encountered a 20-year-old man named Matt Turner at the bus station. Turner decided to travel to Milwaukee for a professional photo shoot. So
Offered by
Dahmer,
Dahmer.
yeah, he was really good at manipulating.
Does
feel like
sound like it, yeah.
There needs to be more on that, because this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
he just did this stuff. He accompanied Dahmer to his apartment, where the pair engaged in sexual activity before Dahmer drugged Lacey, and on this occasion he wanted to prolong the time he spent with Lacey while alive. After successfully attempting to render Lacey unconscious with chloroform, he phoned his workplace to request a day's absence. He was allowed, he got a day off, and after the next day he was suspended. After strangling Lacey, Dahmer had sex with the corpse before dismembering him, and placed Lacey's head and heart in the refrigerator and skeleton in the freezer. And 4 days later, on July 19th, Dahmer received word that he was fired. Upon receipt of this news, Dahmer lured 25-year-old Joshua Bradhoft to his apartment. Bradhoft was strangled and left lying on Dahmer's bed covered with a sheet for 2 days. On July 21st, Dahmer removed the sheets to find the head covered in maggots, whereupon he decapitated the body, cleaned the head and placed it in the refrigerator. He later acidified the torso along with those 2 of the other victims and killed the previous and killed within the previous... 2 other victims were killed within the previous month.
Yeah, he laid out the 3 bodies.
Again, I said, like, the container with the acid, it was all the same acid. He never once changed it.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh.
They don't put that in much places. But when they took it out, they actually found that there was, like...
DNA from the very first murder.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he was using the acid for the first murder. I think that came
No,
in.
the first murder was in 1978. Okay, so now we're talking about his arrest, which was on, well, we don't know if it was on July, but on July 22nd, 1991, Dahmer approached 3 men with an offer of $100 to accompany him to his apartment to pose for nude photographs, drink beer, and just, chill. Keep him company. And one of the trio, 32-year-old Tracy Edwards, agreed to accompany him to his apartment, so only one of them did.
Not 3-year-old.
32-year-old Tracy Edwards. 3 of them were offered, but only Tracy took the bait. And upon entering the apartment, Edward noted a foul odour and several boxes of hydrochloric acid on the floor, which... Get ready for this. This is the best excuse.
It was sketchy for,
The excuse was that Dahmer was using them to clean rocks. No, bricks. Bricks. Okay, food for thought, guys. When you walk into a random stranger's house and it smells and there's hydrochloric acid, don't believe them when they say it's for bricks.
My goldfish died and I've got to go.
Yeah, like
and call the cops.
now,
Get it.
I have to organise
That's
this
gone.
funeral
Like,
now for the goldfish. I actually had a goldfish funeral once.
I had a ladybug funeral.
Oh, I hate ladybugs.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
After some small chit chat, Edward responded to Dahmer's request to turn his head and view his tropical fish, which apparently died.
Yeah, they're dead. That's what
This
the smell
bottle's
is.
like, you don't like a lion, sister.
When he turned
Dahmer
up at the fish tank,
handcuffed him, and
only
Edward,
one handcuff on, one wrist.
one of them, probably. Which one do you reckon it was?
But I mean, at first I thought it was this one, but now I'm talking about it, I'm picturing this one. But I don't think that matters too much, to be honest. Yeah.
When Edward said, what's happening, Dahmer unsuccessfully attempted to cuff his wrists together.
To get the other one.
Then told Edwards to accompany him to his bedroom and pose for nude pictures. While inside the bedroom, Edward noted male posters on the wall
That were nude.
and that a videotape of The Exorcist 3 was playing. He also noted a blue 57 gallon drum in the corner, which has strong odour.
Animated drum. Emanated.
Does anyone want to have a guess at what that gallon is?
Not body parts being stored. No, definitely not. Okay.
It couldn't be.
No.
Dahmer then brandished a knife and informed Edward he intended to take nude pictures of him in an attempt to appease Dahmer. Edwards unbuttoned his shirt, saying he would allow him to do so if he could remove the handcuffs and put the knife away. In response to the promise, Dahmer just watched The Exorcist, which was playing on TV.
He was rocking back and forth and chanting to himself.
Yeah. He placed his head on Edward's chest, listening to his heartbeat with the knife pressed against his intended victim. Edwards repeated that he was Dahmer's friend, that he was not going to run away, and this is so important. Like, this is how he got out, was because this is how he lived.
When he was listening to his heartbeat, he informed Edwards that he intended to eat his heart.
Oh yeah. And that's when he said, I'm a friend, I'm not going to run away. He had decided, though, Edwards had decided he was going to either jump from a window or run through the unlocked front door.
Yeah.
The next opportunity. And when Edwards next stated that he needed to use the bathroom, he asked if he could sit with a beer in the living room. Like, Edwards next stated he needed to use the bathroom, he asked if they could sit with a beer in the living room where there was air conditioning, to which Dahmer consented. Consent is good. He asked if they could, we got that part, and the pair walked into the living room when Edwards exited the bathroom. Inside the living room, Edwards waited until he observed Dahmer have a momentary lapse of concentration. So we're talking about my concentration. It was probably a bit like that. Before requesting to use the bathroom again.
He was just completely focused on whatever it was he was doing.
And he was allowed to go to the toilet again. So he got off the couch and, you remember Dahmer was not holding the handcuffs, which was good.
Noted that.
So Edwards punched him in the face, knocking Dahmer off balance, and ran out the front door.
Dahmer wouldn't have been expecting it. He would have been a bit confused, so
At
Edwards had a bit of a clean break.
At 11:30 p.m. on July 22nd, Edwards flagged down 2 Milwaukee police officers at the corner of North 25th Street. The officers noted that Edwards had a handcuff attached to his wrist, so he still had one.
Still had one of those handcuffs on.
So he explained to the officers that some freak, quote unquote, he was a freak, I just did that because it's what it has on here, had placed the handcuffs upon him and asked if the police could remove them. When the officers' handcuffs keys
key didn't
failed, they went up to the apartment that Dahmer was in. Edward said he invited the trio inside and acknowledged he did indeed place the handcuffs
upon Edward.
Yeah, although he offered no explanation as to why he had done so. At this point, Edwards
told the officers that Dahmer had a knife, and that this had happened when they were in the bedroom. Dahmer made no comment to this revelation. He did say to one of the officers, though, that the key to the handcuffs was on his bedside dresser. One of the officers went in to go and get the key, but Dahmer tried to get past them to get the key first. The second officer told him to back off. They saw the knife under the bed. Apparently noted a large knife, and there was an open drawer.
Which, can you guess what was in there, Neisa?
Couldn't have been photos of dismembered body parts.
Absolutely not.
No,
it was
that
an
would
apple.
be absolutely just unthought of.
It was an apple.
The drawer had Polaroid pictures of
What?
dismembered
I thought it was
body
an apple.
parts. And the
Bodies were in, they were all in different stages of dismemberment. That would have been a horrific sight for that cop, man.
that would have been horrible. I don't know if I would have been able to go back to work after that.
So they were all in various stages. The officer noted the decor
They
in
saw
the
that
pictures was the same
It
one.
was the same as the apartment. They were currently standing in Dahmer's apartment.
So he walked in to his partner, said to his partner, "These are for real." Police officer just told Dahmer to back off.
They went into the... Right, so
Oh,
they found the
they've been into the room,
Polaroids.
yeah.
He then fought with the officers to try and not get arrested. Try and get away, I'm gonna guess.
So they called his squad car and back up.
Yep. They impounded him, cuffed him. While he was laying on the ground, he muttered, "For what I did, I should be dead." While this was going on, someone had looked in the fridge
And found a heart.
and a head. Freshly severed head on the bottom shelf.
So there was a more detailed search of the apartment. A total of 7 skulls, some painted, some bleached. In addition, investigators collected blood droppings upon a tray at the bottom of Dahmer's refrigerator, plus 2 human hearts. 2 of them.
2 hearts.
And a portion of an arm muscle, each wrapped inside plastic bags upon the shelves. Dahmer's freezer investigators discovered an entire torso, plus a bag of human organs and flesh stuck to the ice at the bottom. What? Elsewhere in apartment 213, they discovered 2 entire skeletons, a pair of severed hands,
2 severed and preserved
penises, a mummified skull, and in the 57-gallon drum,
3 further dismembered bodies were just sitting in there.
in the acid solution. So they were still dissolving, they hadn't even finished yet. A total of 74 Polaroid pictures of the dismemberment.
Yeah,
were
the
found.
chief medical examiner stated that it was more like dismantling someone's museum than an actual crime scene. That would be nuts. I could not imagine being anyone on that case.
Dahmer also, like he explained, he was going to make a altar
Yes. Yeah.
not long after he got caught. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, it was all done and dusted. You know, they finally caught him. And I bet you, like, police officers that just let that other kid, they would have had it, like...
They would not have... I don't think they would have been able to reside in an office anymore. I think they would have been definitely kicked off.
Yes. Or quit because of the embarrassment.
They would have definitely had to have started going to counselling. That would not have been okay. You would have felt so bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
because...
if you had done something, you could have stopped, what, like 6 extra murders or something?
Yeah, something like that, hey. You could have stopped so many. This is a really sad case.
It is. But how he could go to murder 17 people without being caught.
So yeah, as we know, he got 400 years in jail. And then he was murdered. I can't remember who murdered him, but he was murdered in jail. And the reason being was because Dahmer would set up his food to look like a human body on his plate and disgusted the inmates, so one of them murdered him.
Let me see. It says. Before he was actually murdered, another inmate attempted to slash his throat with a razor that had been hidden in a toothbrush. They attempted to slash Dahmer's throat as he returned from a church service in the prison.
Yeah, because he was trying to get his life sorted out.
Yeah. According to his family, he'd been ready to die. He'd accepted any of the things that could happen to him while he was locked up, which he wasn't getting out.
Yeah.
So that was at any time he was ready for it.
Yeah, he definitely knew it was going to happen.
His mother said that whenever she tried to say that she was worried about him or anything, he would just say, "It doesn't matter, Mum. I don't care if something happens to me."
Yeah, he
So-
definitely lived with the guilt and not being able to drink as well. Like,
Yeah.
a big part of something that really, like, I think is important is he was never sober when he murdered people.
It doesn't put that into much detail, does it? It just
No,
says
he
that
was
he always
always
had
drunk,
alcohol abuse
And
problems.
even when he was dismembering the bodies, he would openly say, I didn't like it, I only did it when I would have to drink.
Yeah.
So being in a prison where he has to live with what he did and no alcohol to
Sobriety
escape
as
from
well.
it, he would have
He
felt.
fully embraced death. He was ready for it whenever it came to him. And it did come to him. He was assigned work detail, so cleaning, to earn some rights, maybe, I don't know, something. But yeah, he was with 2 other inmates, Jesse Anderson and Christopher Scarver. The trio were left unsupervised cleaning the showers of the prison gym for about 20 minutes. And Dahmer was found on the floor with extreme head and facial wounds. He wasn't dead, but his head had been bludgeoned in with a 20-inch, so 51 centimeter metal bar, and he'd been like hit against the wall numerous times. Yeah, he was rushed to a nearby hospital, but he was pronounced dead an hour later. Anderson had also been beaten with the same instruments, and he died 2 days later from wounds. Scarver is the one who killed them both. He was serving life for murder. Informed authorities he'd first attacked Dahmer with a metal bar as Dahmer was cleaning the staff locker before attacking Anderson. He said that he hadn't been planning to attack these people, but he later said that he had concealed the bar to kill both men in his clothing before the killings. So yeah, that seems a little off if he wasn't planning it. Yeah.
It's a little bit sketch.
Everyone in his family reacted a little differently to his death. His mother was angry. Most of his family members seemed to be pleased about it.
His dad, I know, his dad was in so many interviews.
Yeah, his dad would have been in plenty of interviews.
He actually wrote a book. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's A Father's Journey. It seems like a really good book. It's by Lionel Dahmer, which was Jeffrey's dad, just explaining his side of it. Because, you know, the parents would be getting blamed. You know, you raised a serial killer.
Yeah.
So, you have it, folks. That's the story
Yeah.
of Jeffrey Dahmer.
In 1995, he was cremated with the wish to have no services. His ashes were divided between his parents. Dahmer's estate. Oh, the Dahmer's estate. So the family home
It's
that he
up
was
for
living
sale
in
at the moment.
for the first victim. That was actually awarded to families of 11 of the victims who had sued for damages. Now,
I know it's
yeah,
up for sale
It's
now.
up for it was up for planned auction then. So, yeah. Now it's
Fuck women in Paris.
up for sale. Wow.
Anyway, so that's all of it. That's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Lionel was sued for using names in the book of family members. Just going back to the book. Read the book.
It's a good book.
I haven't read the book.
I haven't read the book, but I might order it. So if you've stuck with us this whole time, honestly,
Dedication and
mad respect for you, bro. Or sis. I call everyone bro.
you're good.
Anyway,
You're
we're delusional.
yeah.
I'm delusional. Are you delusional, Neisa?
I don't know. Are you like
I am
actually
so
here to ask me
tired.
this question?
I'm that tired. I'm like. So this was the first video for my YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. I feel like a typical YouTuber doing this, but every subscriber makes me feel better about my self-esteem. So
Gives you a higher self-esteem.
yeah, like I think last time I checked I had 49 subs and I was like, yes.
I
Anyway.
don't have a YouTube account and therefore don't get the subscriber high. Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed this video. It's been long.
Mm-hmm.
It's been.
It's been.
I hope you enjoyed this video. I've said that so many times, but I really do hope you enjoyed it. This case has always been fascinating to me because, so yeah.
I'm really not sure what I was attempting with this makeup look.
Okay, now we're both gonna go like that. No, that's definitely right. 2, 3.